So this sin law, what does it mean? We are talking about a triangle. It could be a right triangle. It could be obtuse, acute. It could be any triangle. Doesn't matter. As long as it's a triangle, we know that triangle has three sides. And I'm going to name them with capital letters. Let's call this side as A. Let's call this one as B. Let's call this one as C. And they are all capital. And I'm going to write down the angles that's corresponding to the side. And how do I do that? The angle that doesn't touch to the side is the corresponding angle. So this angle does touch the C, and it does touch the B, so it cannot be C nor angle B. So the one it doesn't touch is A, so we're going to call this angle as angle A. And for the angles, we are going to write down small letter, small a. And how about this? This is the angle of C. Across from it, maybe that will help sometimes, but also remember C does not touch, angle C does not touch the side C. How about this? That's the only one left. Obviously, that's the B, and I can also say that angle B doesn't touch the side B. That's why I call this B. If you had this wrong, and let's say you figure out that is B, this is A, the sin law will be wrong. So you need to make sure that they belong where they need to be. On the top, there are two ways to write down the sin law. On the top, this time I'm going to start with the sides. So, side, any capital letter I can start with, and let me start with A this time, divided by sin, which angle? B, C, or A? It's supposed to be the A that belongs to the side A, equals B, guess what? Sinus B, equals C, capital C, divided by sinus C. But it doesn't have to be like this. It can be the other way around. So you can write down the angle first. Which angle I'm going to start with? Let's start with B this time. So I'm going to start with B divided by, I'm sorry, that's not how we do. I'm going to start with B. So sinus B is on top, and the side capital B is the one that divides. Sinus CA, doesn't matter which one you start with. So let's go with C, side C, and sinus A divided by side A. So this is the sin law. You are looking at the sin law. This needs to go to your study aid. Now we know about the sin law. The next you need to practice is this. What is sinus 15? That's x. I want to know what is x, which is sinus 15. Let's find out. Sinus 15. I don't have the exact calculator you have. I find out a different scientific calculator online. So I'm going to use this. Sinus 15 is that. So what you need is to please get the 4 digits after the decimals. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next number I am looking at is 1. So that's less than 5. Simply I'm going to ignore, and I'm just going to write down 2588. 2588. So sin 15 is 0.2588. So x is 0.2588. Now my next question, let's do one more. Sinus 65. So let's find out what is sinus 65. All you have to do, press the sign button that you have on your calculator, sinus, and then write down the value, 65, and equals. I got this, and the fifth number is 0, which is less than 5, so I'm going to keep it the way it is, 9063. 0.9063. Sometimes, keep watching, you will have sinus, let's get a different color here, sinus and ankle, let's call it x, we don't know, and it will be equal to 0.2588. What is x in this case? Anybody has any idea what could be the x? It will be 15. We already calculated. It will be 15. But because we calculated, you guys know what the x is here. What if we didn't know, we didn't calculate it? How do we find out the x? This time, using the calculator, let's clear this. Sinus minus 1 unit. With my online calculator, I get it like this. Second function and sinus button, and write down the number I had there. It was, let's go back, 0.2588. I'm going to press on the equation sign. I will not get the 15. I repeat once again, you won't see the number 15 here. Let me prove it to you. You will see a number that's very close to 15 with the degrees. With the degrees. 90 degrees, 5 degrees, 7 degrees. You never heard of 10.9 degrees or 15.5 degrees. There is no decimal with the degrees. We always round up the number we find out to the nearest whole regular number. And when I go back to my calculator, I see that just look at the second digit. I'm sorry, first digit. Just look at the first digit that comes after the decimal, which is 9. That's more than 5. So you have to give 1 extra. That will give you 15. So the x will be 15. And let's calculate this once again. This time, let's do it for this. Sinus x equals 0.9063. So yes, I'm supposed to get 65. So let's get that. 9063. 9063. Now look what I'm about to do. Sinus 0.9063. I will have a wrong answer here, because I did not press the second function here to get the other sinus that has the -1 on top. I need that. 0. I already forgot the number. 9063. Of course, I didn't get 65, but I'm going to round it up. After the decimal comes a number that's more than 5, so I'm going to give 1 extra to 64. That will make it 65. So x here is 65. Now you are almost ready to deal with SINLA questions. And let's take a look at your first question, and let's do this on the board together. A, C, B. Okay, first question. Find AC. I need to place my X. And I'm going to place it. Excuse me. I'm going to place it between A and C. So this question is asking me about the site, telling me, please find out the site. No problem. I have time to do that. Before I go ahead with that, I want to find out this angle. Because I don't know, maybe I will need that. Maybe I will not. But it's an easy work, so I want to calculate this first. How do I calculate it? I know that all three of them, this and that, you add them together, will be 180. So if I can, from 180, if I can subtract the ones I know, 22, the ones I know, 118, so that will give me the angle I need, which is, use your calculators, 40. So let's write this down. Oh, I didn't want that. This is 40 degree. I might need it, I might not, but it's good to have it. Now let's go ahead and do our SINLA. The SINLA. Remember, I can start with side, I can start with the angle. What I should do and how I should start is totally depending on the question. Question is asking the side. So I'm going to start with the question. You always start with the question. So I need like 2 more minutes of your time, then I am done. So I'm going to start with the one I don't know, which is x, divided by which angle corresponds to the side x. 118 does touch the x. 40 does touch the x. But 22 doesn't touch the x, and 22 is across from the x. So therefore, I'm going to write down sinus 22 equals. Now, here is my division line. Now I need to write down a side. This side I don't know. This is the one they've been asking, and I already use it. That's the one I know right now. So you need to use the side you know that they gave you. So 24 divided by sinus. Let's see what angle I'm going to write down here. 24. That side has been touched by that angle, has been touched by this angle. It is not being touched by 40. I am glad I find out. Maybe I didn't need it, but it turns out I need it. So now I have it. Let's use it. Sinus 40. That's the SINLA. If you made a mistake here, if you divide the x with not sinus 22 but sinus 118 here, or sinus sinus 40 here, you will have it wrong. Whatever you do, you will get it wrong. So therefore, it's important to have the perfect SINLA. So now, once you have it, things will come easier. Let's copy that and let me paste it here. All you have to do, this is a division. This is what we want to find out. So it needs to go to the other side, and because it divides here, it will multiply there. So let's do that. X now alone equals 24 multiplied by sinus 22 divided by sinus 40. So I'm going to use my calculator. Whatever I take from this, that will be the right answer. So now let's calculate it then. So 24 times sinus 22. 24 times, where is the time? So it's, alright, 24 times sinus 22, that is this. So I'm going to divide that, with sinus 40. Sinus 40 here. So let's do that. Sinus 40 equals, it's very, very close to 14. So I'm just going to round this up to 14 and say that this is 14. X is 14. So I'll go back to my question and write that X is 14. Are we done here? Not quite yet, because there is another way you will need for the questions standing in front of you. Let's say I'm creating new question here. Oops. Why it does that? It will always do that. Okay, let's just rewrite it then. I will give you one side, and let's give you the 24. And I will give you the angle that will correspond to 24. And that is 40. And I will give you the side 14. And I will ask you what angle is that. So this is another sin law question. So you will get two different type of sin law question. One, either it will ask about the side, just like this one that we already did an example. Two, it will ask you about the angle. I cannot find out this angle because I don't know this. If this was given to me, like 150, 90 degree, whatever, if that was given to me, I will find that out. That will be easy. But it has not. I only know one angle. So I need to use the sin law here to figure out the angle. You guys know that I will find out the 22. But now, let's see how I will find that out. So we're going to write down the sin law. Keep watching. Sinus x. You always start with x, right? This time sinus x goes up, divided by corresponding side that doesn't touch the angle x, which is 14. 14 equals, and the angle I already know, 40. Do not write down 40. This is an angle. This is not a side. So you need to write down sinus 40 equals, you need to divide it with the corresponding side that doesn't touch the angle 40 and across from it, which is 24. That's the sin law. I got this perfectly right now. Now let me deal with that. Don't worry, you will have time to write this down. Just please focus on the board. So this time, 14 will go up to multiply because it does the division here. So let's do that. Sinus x is alone. Sinus 40 is here, and I'm going to multiply that with 14 divided by 24, and let's see what I'm going to get. You should always get a number that's less than 1. 0 something. Always. If not, you know that you made a mistake with your sin law. So you need to go back and make the sin law once again. But it must be less than 1. So let's go and calculate. Sinus 40. Let's clear this. Sinus 40. You don't have to do this with your calculator, but I have to. Close it. Times 14 equals that divided by 24. 24. So I'm going to get a number that's less than 1. 0 something. And I'm going to get the first 4 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next number comes is 5. So it's 5 or more than 5. I'm going to give 1 extra to this. 49. It will be 50. So 3750 is the answer. 3750. 0.3750. But I am not done yet. Almost there. I need to find out the x, and I need to use the sinus -1 button from the calculator to find out the x. And you guys know that I'm going to find out 22. So let's see. 3750. Second function, sinus 0.3750. Very close to 22, you see. Let's run this up. The next number after decimal comes 0. So it's less than 5. So I'm going to keep it the way it is. So let's write down the 22. X is 22. I told you we would get that.